Hello. Just a short talk and update. Basically, I was going to do a talk today, but I had an off day. So if you don't know, I had got concussion a couple of weeks back, and then I got over the concussion. Sorry, my partner's just about to come in and want Khaleesi, and he's going to not want to be heard. It's distracting to me. One second, I'm just going to turn the volume off so I can speak to him. Oh well, he's going to get hurt. He's gone to the toilet and he can't hear me calling. Anyway, so I had concussion a few weeks ago, and it looks like I might have some longer concussion effects, which can happen for some people. And sometimes I have good days and I'm really good, and then I overdo it, and then some days I don't have such good days, so I have to pull back, and today wasn't such a good day. Yesterday was a really good day, and I thought I was going to be able to do a bit of a talk today, but it's not so good. And I'm just going to cancel, I think, all one-to-one sessions for the time being, because the most important thing when you have this is just to rest. And then maybe I do some talks sometimes. I see how it goes. I don't know. But but I don't want to talk too much about the concussion. It's just one of those things. But what's so undeniably here in all of it, even when my head is spinning and I feel very concussed, if you've had proper concussion before, you know what I mean, is that what's here is what is. Like what's here is what you already are, no matter what, even when your head is spinning and you don't feel good. And that's the most important thing, is knowing what you are. Like we've got all the conditions of the human, the psychology of the human, and that's fair enough, the psychology of the human. That's one element of it, just like Khaleesi has psychology of being a dog, and the birds. I don't know if the birds have psychology. I don't know if they're complex enough, but they certainly have conditioning. So if they're traumatized by something, then they'll have particular responses to that. And we have all this conditioning, but that isn't what the freedom is. We have pain and pleasure, but that isn't what the freedom is. There's something here that's so free, that's like screaming in everybody's face, and it's not about becoming. It's not about you becoming something. It's here, it's alive, it's free. It's beautiful. There's nothing quite like it. So no matter what's happening, even if the world is spinning, if the world is, when I say spinning, I mean from the vertigo, or the world is still from the concussion, just in case you're just coming into the talk now. You're like, what is she on about? Or you're laying in bed, or you're at the doctor's, or people are telling you how ill you are and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Like, in the end, what is what you are. And that's everything's birthright. And there's nobody that's going to be taken out of that. There's nobody that can be taken out of that. It's what you are. Who would be taken out of that? Like, the one that you think you are is conditions. Is ideas and conditions arising. It's memories, it's thoughts, it's feelings that arise now, and then that person says, me, 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 me. And it has personal awareness as well. It's like, I can move this body, I can do these things, I am alive. Whereas actually that is a happening, that's a magnificent phenomena appearing, but it isn't actually reality. It isn't actually who you are. It's not an experiencer, it's an experience that's coming and going. Who you are is beyond that. Who you are is this awakeness, which is undefinable and unknowable. It is. And the person knows things and doesn't know things. So it can know about awakening or not know about awakening, but none of that matters. Like, it's appearing in a space in which you already are. Just so free, vibrant. It's all you've ever wanted. It's the loudest thing in the room. And yet it's got nothing to do with you. It isn't you. It isn't yours. My partner's coming home. Turn the volume off so he can't be heard. Bye-bye. Oh! My partner doesn't like to be on the internet. And everything in life knows this. Everything knows this instantaneous presence, this alive, radical presence. It's all screaming it. The trees are screaming it, the birds are screaming it, the floor is screaming it, the walls are screaming it. The dogs, the plants, the board games. I can't get my fingers over. Which way does it go? That's so complex, because when you're being filmed, it's filmed backwards. There. The board games, the cloth, the clothes, the hair, everything knows it. This radical freedom of what is. There's just now, right now. And the mind goes off in stories, and there's nothing wrong with the story maker, but stories aren't reality, and they're never going to be freedom. Ever. You're never going to find freedom in a story. Ever. You only ever find freedom in what you are, which isn't yours to find. Because who is this you? Who is this you? And there's nothing in this life which will give you that. The mind is always believing in the next thing. If I do this, if I do that, if I'm healthy, if I'm not healthy, or I don't know why someone will want to be not healthy, but some people do, because then they get attention. There's other reasons for it. I didn't mean to dismiss that psychological condition. Or whatever the belief is getting the car, getting the house, getting the kids, getting the money, like not having these stresses. None of it is it. None of it can take away your freedom or can give you freedom. That is the illusion that the person's constantly stuck in. And the problem is, like, I will give it, like, I can't help but feel like we're not living in a society designed for waking up. Because when you have this realization, I feel like certain functioning goes, but that also could be because I had something called dyslexia and all these learning difficulties as a kid. And so it could be that I like reverted more back to that, and I was like, I can't do all these things that society expects. But I feel like you become more innocent and childlike, and like all these rules and regulations that we have on ourselves is to keep the bad people out, is to keep the bad things out. But when you begin to wake up, then it's like those things I feel like wouldn't need to be in play. Like we're suppressing it ourselves so much in our current society. I feel like I always have the perspective that everything we go through is about waking up and clearing that energy and becoming more and more free. And I can't help but feel like my concussion, like it, like even if it kills me, whatever happened, like I don't think it will, but even if it does, like on the human level, I always feel like it's anything that's happening is moving us further and further to that freedom. And for me, like what my concussion has done is it's highlighted the areas in which I was already struggling with to maintain from my awakening. Like, so it was the areas in which after that awakening happened that I found difficult to maintain. And it's kind of like highlighted those areas, and I just can't really do them at the moment. They're not all areas, like it changes. And so it's really like just like, even though I in the long run have to do like my tax returns and refunds and all these things, and I am trying to keep up with it because I have to refund a lot of people at the moment, it's like highlighting what didn't feel natural to me before already. And it's actually so wonderful to just be like, fuck it, let's not do it. I mean, I can't really. Like whatever comes to you isn't a gift, because that is a story. So like whatever happens is a gift. That isn't quite the right story. It's just, you can't ever grab the right story of what's happening, but it's like everything is leading us home because it's the only place to go. And the more that the human gets in line with that story or that feeling or that flow, the easier it is for the human. Like this is all a return journey. There's nowhere else you can go. Where else do you think you're going to go? And the mind fears that it's going to fall out of this in some way. It's going to fall out of itself, but you can't fall out of yourself. You are yourself. You are that which is watching. I'm not talking about the personal self, and I know language is so freaking confusing. I'm talking about that which is beyond the idea of you, the idea of personal awareness or the personal I am. It's talking about this big I am and this big consciousness, which when you really go into it, it isn't consciousness and it isn't I am, it is unknowable. It's just a happening. It's like, ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. When you have something like concussion, I think I said this last time, if you act a little bit quirky, you think that everybody's like looking at you like, she's dying, and you're suddenly going to get a flood of their negative energy about like how ill you are or something, or how you should or shouldn't be doing this. So there's always like a consciousness. I'm always a bit loopy, but when having confessed that I'm ill, then everyone's like, she's acting loopy. Let's put her back in the hospital. So the question always comes back to, or the no question, whatever extremity you want to go to, is who is it that's looking out of the other eyes? Who is it that was born? Who is it that's alive? Who is it that you fear will die? Who? Who looks out? And what might be seen but by nobody, because there's no one that could possibly see it, that would be an abstraction of the mind. But there can be a seeing or a knowing or a shift, that there is nothing that's experiencing. There is not a thing, not a position, not a location that's experiencing, which is everything. There's nothing that's looking out of your eyes. Who is it that you think is looking out of your eyes? Who is it that you think was born? And you'll see, or there will be a seeing, that it was all stories. That all of that was stories of who you were. You dreamt yourself. You dreamt your loneliness. You dreamt your personhood. You dreamt your relationships. In this moment, right here, right now, we can go into the story and we can talk about that at another time. But in this moment, there is no relationship. There is no story. There is just experiencing, and that experiencing is unknowable. It's not subject-object. Again, that's another abstraction of the mind. I'm sitting here looking at Lisa. Where? Who? Your mind thinks that my eyes are looking at Lisa. My ears are hearing Lisa. Lisa's mouth is speaking, but that's your thought. That's a story. That's a story that's gone. And then here we are, this perfect, brilliant aliveness that is, that's alive, awake, that's experiencing. And it's so beautiful and profound. And then the story comes up and goes, but I don't feel good, or I want more. And that's fair enough, but notice it to be what it is, a story. And yes, it's appropriate for the story to want more, or the person to want more at times, but it's not what you're actually looking for. That's pleasure and pain. So you get a hit of pleasure and then a hit of pain. What is it that's beyond that? So if anyone has any questions, and I'll just take a couple of questions, and then I will vermoes about the hoose. Vermoes about the hoose. That means, to anyone that doesn't speak Scottish, or maybe that's Canadian, that means that I will go. So you can write to me in Skype, which is Lisa Cairns 12. Vermoes about the hoose. Do 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 do. Vi måste byta hus. Dear Lisa, I love you. Hey, I don't know if I can do phone calls. I think you have to write the question today. Oh, maybe I can. Pardon me, I'm allowed to do that. Because I'm not very well. I would do it if I was well. It's just a joke. Okay, here we go. Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, could I just get you to turn your video off so I have all the internet for my upload?
Yeah, sure. One
Thank you.
second. Is it fine now?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. How
Nice
are
to hear
you?
from you. Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks.
How has been your like you mentioned like you had been hit by something
Yeah,
before?
the concussion. Yeah, I still have concussion, and I'm not going to do a very long talk today because some days are worse than others. I get a lot of vertigo. But I always had vertigo. I've got a tendency towards vertigo, so it's something I deal with all the time. But it's just intensified with the concussion. So I won't do such a long talk today because of it. Just do a short talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Lisa.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll just go with the question then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa. I had been struggling with this enormous fear of self-realization for many years. The fear of the unknown, like what this realization is going to be like suddenly. I always used to imagine like the time will disappear, space will disappear, and I don't know what will happen when the truth dawns. And then few months about maybe a couple of months ago, like I had like one thing like saw was that like I have been always imagining that enlightenment or the self-realization is going to be some sort of an experience. And the question I asked was like, no matter what kind of experience it is, who is it, there is always going to be somebody experiencing it, that experience. So how can the experiencer be known? Because no matter whatever is discovered, whatever even if it is a spaceless, timeless, or whatever, there is something which is experiencing that, and how can that be known? And even if that is known, then who is the one who is knowing that?
Yeah.
That
it goes on forever, like infinity mirrors, doesn't it? Like when you begin to ask these questions, and like from what it sounds like this is my judgment on you. I'm not saying it's like correct, but just judgment on what you're saying, is that you still believe that it's in some way mind related, like that in some way your mind is going to understand this, even though, or see this or perceive this, where it's really not a personal seeing. So right now you're perceiving the wall and there's absolutely no personal awareness of it. So I'm just presuming there's a wall behind your computer. So you're perceiving what's ever behind your computer. You're focused on me. Your personal awareness is focused on me. Your brain is interpreting what I'm saying. And yet the wall behind your computer is appearing, and you are doing nothing in order for that to appear. You're not labeling it. And you could say that wall is a mystery when you're not labeling it. It's just there, but there's no effort in the perception of it. And that's the same that's happening right now. is there is a perception that's happening that is without any effort and is happening instantaneously and isn't separate from all things that are perceived. So you could say there is no perception, there is just everything, if you wanted to. But you could also say there is consciousness, but then also really understanding that consciousness isn't a position, it isn't a place in which something is looking from. It is the appearance of everything. And it's just simply an energetic shift. So it's a shift in that perception. So when you're identified, the person is focused on the mind, it's focused on thinking, it's focused on its personal world. And when that shifts, then there is this expansiveness, this expansion, this everythingness. And that shift is not known by someone. The brain can register it in time afterwards, but that's not what the shift is. So the brain can register it by knowing the before to after. So you know that long story about the prodigal son returns, because when he was born a rich person, but he didn't know he was rich because he'd never experienced poorness, so he couldn't really appreciate it. So your brain can remember being identified to not being identified, so it can notice that difference in time, but that's not the shift. That is just a simple intellectual registration of it happening. The shift is an energetic shift that goes back to something that's watching, that is absolutely impersonal, and it's looking out through everything as everything, and it's empty and full simultaneously, and it's unknowable. It's not known in time, but yet it's there.
Yeah, so this is what I've been struggling with, like how can it ever be known? Because whatever can be known, the question still comes that who is knowing that?
Yeah, you can't. It can't be known. It can be perceived in time, so you can understand it intellectually in time, but it can't be known. But yet all there is everything. So everything is appearing, but it doesn't belong to anybody knowing. But it's completely ununderstandable. You're not going to be able to get that. But what your mind's doing is your mind is breaking itself down in a way, it keeps going further and further back. But in the end, it will stop doing that, because it's like the infinity mirrors. They go on forever. Who is knowing? Who is knowing?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is sure, that it cannot be something specific. Because anything is specific, the same question comes again. But I mean, I feel very helpless at it.
That's a human thing. That's a human thing, though. That's got nothing to do with the awakening. The helplessness is a characteristic of the character of the identity. So that's the pattern in which your body will respond to any scenario, whether it be relationship, whether it be non-duality. It's like we all have patterns in which we respond. So helplessness will be something which was ingrained in you from a young age, and it will be a response that will come and go throughout your life. It will be a habit of the brain. So that's nothing to do with the actual subject of non-duality.
Yes.
It's just your character's response to it, which you can adjust. You can work on that, but that's not to do with this subject. I talk about adjusting the character and stuff, but I don't feel like talking about it while I have concussion. I just want to talk about non-duality.
No, I don't mean helplessness like a major helplessness, but it feels like that the ego cannot really know the.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
I mean, in that sense, yeah.
The brain, the thoughts, the ego, the non-ego, whatever you want to call it, anything that appears cannot know this, because who would know it? So anything appears is being known by nothing, is appearing in that.
What is that nothing?
Yeah, that's God. That's the X factor. That's who you are, but not on a personal level. I mean, it is who you are on a personal level too, but I mean, it's not like you as a person are God. You are God, but I mean, it's beyond the person. Like it's exactly, if the person
Along with-
thinks I am God.
Yeah, along with everything else. Yes.
Yeah.
So in your case, like, how do you know? Because you cannot know if I am right.
Yeah. I can't. The person can know things, so the character can know things. So the brain has a way of defining and labeling and understanding things. And then there is just it. So the character knows things, like it can perceive a before and after. It can understand things. You could say that the person and the understanding are kind of the same thing, like what is the person? But whatever that is, the character can understand things and comprehend things and have these experiences and be able to speak about them. But that knowing, that awakening, that shift, the non-duality is beyond the character. It's something that's happening beyond the character. And then the character, it's like Lisa's character now is interpreting it, but everything, like Lisa's character, everything, all of that is coming out of the nothingness. So you could also say it's nothing speaking, but it comes out through no, that's not the right word, through the characteristics, I keep using that word, of Lisa. It comes through the patterns of Lisa, this speaking now. It doesn't come through the speaking of Khaleesi.
Yeah. So could you suggest, like, what is it that I need to explore further in order to,
For
for
the person, for that to fall away.
Yeah, to whatever it is which is experiencing, what do I need to explore in order for that to reveal itself? I don't know, probably to itself.
This is like a catch-22, because it's like, how can somebody in a film, so say a character, an actor that's in a film, well, not the actor, but the character. So say like Friends, if we took Joey for instance, say if Joey wanted to see who was watching, so he's in Friends and he's on the TV screen, and then suddenly he wants to like knock on the box of the TV screen and look out to see who's watching. Like, it's an impossibility. Like, the character can't ever do that. So anything that you do in the character world can't lead you to what you already are or lead you to what's watching. However, you can do things to quieten the person down and make the person's life simpler. So it's like, to me, the wise thing to do, even though it's not your choice, it will either happen or not happen, because it's all coming from no-thingness, it's all coming from God. But we speak within the dream of cause and effect. Like, to me, the wise thing to do is to present yourself to this subject and keep presenting yourself, but at the same time, like, you can make your life easier. You can make your character a lot more integrated into this life, a lot more user-friendly. And there's so much wisdom out there. Like, sometimes in talks I talk about chakra, but I know you're a fan. I think you're a fan of Osho, aren't you? No? You were a fan of Osho?
No.
Oh, no, wrong person. There's so many different teachers that talk about the personality and how to make it easier for the personality. Osho, there's loads of psychology teachers. There's loads of like breathing meditations. Wim Hof is great. And the human level, like, there's all these different techniques, yoga, that can make life better. But who is it that's going to wake up?
Yeah.
Like, who is it now that's going to wake up?
It can't be the individual.
Yeah.
But that's what I like. I feel like, what is it that I explore now? Like, what is it that I can do? I mean, it's a paradoxical question, because in a way, it's like,
But this is what the mind does, and this is the mind's favorite story. Like, what is it I can do? Like, what is it I can do? Because in a way, like, that's what we're designed to do on the human level. We're designed to do things.
I mean, when I say you chose the wrong word. I should not say do. I mean, what is it that I need to explore? Maybe in order for this whatever nothing or whatever it is which is experiencing, in order for it at least facilitate for it to reveal itself.
Yeah, I would just be open to this subject and be open to the idea that this idea of what can I explore is a story that you're telling yourself, and that's not where it is. That's what your brain is producing, the next thing that you need to get.
Yeah.
Like, who is this I that needs to get somewhere? It's always so ferocious. Like, what is it I need to explore in order to get somewhere? And then you have an idea of your life, where you are, what you've been, what you're going to be, where you're going to go. Who is this I? Who's going to get there? Who needs something right now? There is the sound of the birds, the trees, the humming of the computer, this feeling of the chair, the warmth, the sound of my voice. This is where the answer is.
I mean, for the one, all of this is probably just a play. Like for the one I think doesn't even care in a way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, I think all the issues.
It's not even like it's not that cold that that one doesn't care. It's not that cold. It's just that's the caring is a story that humans make up.
Yeah, I mean, caring or not caring, I mean, it is, yeah, in a way, yes, the caring and not caring both are wrong to say.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, well, thank you for calling in. I really enjoyed speaking with you. It's lovely to hear from you.
Yeah. It was after a very long time I'm talking with
you. Yeah, lovely to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Lots of love. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, my lovely friends. I just explain a little bit for those that came on after I started the talk. Basically, I'm still having the effects of the concussion. I thought I was a lot better. I am a lot better, but if I push it too far, then it comes back, the vertigo. So I started to do sessions again on Thursday, and then it pushed me too far, and on Friday I wasn't very good. And then I pushed it too far yesterday, and then today I'm not so good. So I have to learn to not push it too far. So for the time being, I'm most probably going to cancel all my sessions. So for this weekend, I cancelled sessions. So if you've got a session coming up, then I will email you and let you know. I know I can do this short talk, but this is quite different from doing like 3 hours. Normally my sessions run over as well. So like 3, 4, or 5 hours of speaking, like with one person intensely for an hour. It's quite different. That's quite intensive for the brain and the colours, the light of the screen. So yeah. And I just keep this talk short, and I may or may not do one next week. We just take it day by day by day. Oh dear Lord, 3 things I pray to keep da 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 ba 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 dum. Da 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 da. If you don't know, that's from Godspell. If you enjoyed that, then you can download Godspell. I did it at university or college or something. Okay. Yeah. Yes, is there anything else I need to say? I so enjoyed talking with you. Paul is saying, good to see you back. Well, I'm actually just about to leave. There's one more question, maybe I answer this. But yeah, just saying, so I still have the effects of the concussion, and I just got to not push it and take it easy. However, I love talking about this subject, and it sometimes can pop up like, Wah! So maybe I do some live talks in the coming weeks, not on my scheduled time. Maybe I do it at the scheduled time. So you can subscribe to my channel, and then you'll get updates if I've done something. Hello, Lisa. I'm curious regarding what your vision for humanity would be. Hey, Kevin. Thanks for your question. I mean, like, ideally, like, I would love to live in a society which is all about trusting, and like, it's not about rules and being forced to behave. It's like trust, that we live in a society where we trust each other and we build on that trust, and where we're not just using the intellect in order to communicate. But that's beside the point from non-duality. Like, I love that subject. I love talking about the human and the vision of the human, the psychology of the human, and all these juicy bananas. But it's not non-duality. Like, in the end, like, that takes away from the subject of non-duality. If we start going into it, doesn't matter, we can do that, and I do that in many of my talks. But lately I've just been feeling more drawn to non-duality. Like we're obsessed with ourselves, with humanity, with us, where we're going, our story, and noticing that they're all stories. Like, the way in which we function as a society is through stories, and we're obsessed with the story of ourselves and where we're going to. And we believe that if we play our cards right and if we do things right, then we'll all be in the Garden of Eden. We're all going to arrive in the Garden of Eden, and then you'll find love, and then you'll find freedom. And this isn't true. The Garden of Eden is right here. It's not being in a society where everybody's trusting each other. I'm sorry. I am so sorry for that. It was not me, it was nothing. My dad used to always say, it was not me, it was my food. Pardon me for being so rude. It was not me, it was my food. It was nothing. That doesn't rhyme. So, like, if you come back to non-duality, like, your freedom, your Garden of Eden, everything you look for is right now. It's right here. This is the gold. This is the paradise. Like, the trees are screaming it, the bricks are screaming it. I'm saying bricks because I can see a building over there. The house is screaming it. The cloth is screaming it, the blinds are screaming it, the room is screaming it, our bodies are screaming it, the computer is screaming it, this room is screaming it, and then the person is like, yes, but let me imagine something else that is it. If we live in paradise, if we all get on, and that's such a beautiful idea. I love that idea of humans getting on and being all at peace. But at the moment, right now, where are they? An imagination in your head. We believe that imagination to be a truth. So we believe that we're actually talking about something truthful, whereas actually we're telling each other tales. And there's nothing wrong with those tales, these stories. It helps us exist better and grow and expand, but it's not truth. It's not truth. Who says, just a suggestion, maybe silent sitting would not hurt your concussion. Actually, I don't think that's true, because I think there's a lot happening energetically. in silent sitting. Like, we always think that we're only communicating through words, but there's so much more communication happening. But that is enough for today. I've most probably pushed it again. I'm going to be all now dizzy for the evening. Pas bien, pas bien. My partner says I'm a terrible patient because I push it too far all the time. I try to not do things, and I have been fairly good, I think. But for him, I don't think so. It's like, sit, sit, sit. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm joking, he doesn't really do that. Okay, I am off. Maybe I see you next week or not see you next week. We shall see. I love you. I wish you everything. Not just one thing, not just two things, but everything. Yeah.